Buddha Abhidhamma, Ultimate Science by Dr. Mehm, introducing the higher teachings of the Buddha. Mental science or ultimate science. Natural sciences investigate the basic principles and laws of nature to explain the physical phenomena that have been occurring for eons. But they cannot probe the nature of the mind, and they fail to explain the mental phenomena that have enormous influence on physical phenomena. Lord Buddha, with his power of omniscience, knew the true nature of the mind and correctly described the causal relations that govern the mind and matter, and thus can explain all psycho-physical phenomena in the world. His ultimate teaching, known as Abhidhamma, describes in detail the natures of the ultimate realities that really exist in nature, but are unknown to scientists. His method of verification is superior to scientific methods, which depend on instruments. He used his divine eye to penetrate the coverings that hide the true nature of all things. He also taught others how to develop concentration and how to observe with their mind eyes the true nature of all things, and finally, the Four Noble Truths, which can enlighten one to achieve one's liberation from all miseries forever. So, Abhidhamma may be regarded as mental science or ultimate science, the science of the ultimate truths. The age of analysis. Philosophers have now come to the age of analysis, but who can analyze mind and matter correctly and thoroughly as Lord Buddha has done more than 2,500 years ago? The correct analysis of the mind and matter is the greatest achievement on earth, and the discovery of natural correlations between mind and matter is the most beneficial discovery ever achieved by men. You will gain the greatest benefit if you strenuously study Abhidhamma, which systematically describes the intrinsic natures of the ultimate comprising mind, matter, and permanent peace, Nibbana. Mind creates miseries and happiness. All mental phenomena have mind as their forerunner. They have mind as their chief. They are mind-made. If one thinks, speaks, or acts with an evil mind, misery follows him, just as the wheel follows the hoofs of the ox that draws the cart. If one thinks, speaks, or acts with a pure mind, happiness follows him, like his shadow that never leaves him. Dhammapada verses 1 and 2. Forward. The prophecy that an able person would soon appear to contribute to the world of knowledge in the field of Buddhist, psycho-ethical philosophy, which we commonly appreciate as Buddha Abhidhamma, has now come true. The prophecy was made by my revered old teacher, Padanta Narada Mahathera, who was well known as the original Patana master. He made the prophecy in 1952 while I was studying Yamaka and Patana treatises under his guidance. He assigned me and my colleague translator, Professor Tai Neong to translate his writings on Abhidhamma. The task was never fully accomplished as I was occupied with teaching at the Pali and Abhidhamma department of the University of Yangon, and later transferred to the International Institute of Advanced Buddhistic Studies at Kappa I as head of research department. Thereupon, my disappointed old teacher, Padanta Narada Mahathera, with full expectation, prophesied that pretty soon an able scholar will emerge to accomplish the noble task of presenting Abhidhamma in English to the world. So now appears a novel and authentic treatise entitled Buddha Abhidhamma, The Ultimate Science by Dr. Mehm. Dr. Mehm is a man of science, for he was trained in the University of Illinois, USA, for his master's degree and doctorate degree in chemistry, and then he served his country for several years as professor of chemistry. He is also a man of arts, as he has written several illustrative books on education as well as on Buddhism, and his books are widely read by the public. So his approach to Abhidhamma is very scientific as well as artistic. Dr. Mehm has been conducting long courses as well as short intensive courses on Abhidhamma in many towns throughout Myanmar. His Abhidhamma classes draw the attention of large crowds as his unique ability to compare Abhidhamma with science as well as with Western philosophy makes the subject very interesting and stimulating. He emphasized the fact that the teachings of the Lord Buddha in Abhidhamma are very scientific and that Abhidhamma goes much deeper than natural sciences, encompasses a much wider field. As I was trained at the Harvard Divinity School and Harvard Graduate School of Arts and Sciences 3 decades ago, and has engaged myself as a research scholar in the field of historical, philosophical, and religious sciences for many years. I heartily agree with Dr. Mehm in regarding Abhidhamma as the ultimate science, the science of the ultimate truths. Culture, philosophy, history, and many other common mundane subjects can be studied thoroughly through the media of natural and human sciences. But the divine elements in religious studies can be robed and realized only by means of divine science. However, the ultimate supramundane things, which are beyond divinity, can be realized only through the ultimate science. So, Abhidhamma, or the ultimate science, surpasses all other historical, philosophical, and religious sciences. Philosophy is a noble science, but it cannot be said to excel all other sciences because it does not embrace the whole universality of things in Abhidhamma. Abhidhamma analyzes the mind and matter in minute detail into ultimate realities and shows the way to eternal peace called Nibbana. These ultimate realities are unknown to philosophy and all other sciences. Dr. Tinmon enlightens the readers extremely well with his Buddha Abhidhamma, Ultimate Science. A reader can derive more benefit from this book in 1 week than from a lifetime of pondering the philosophies of others. This treatise is really a new version of the compendium of Buddhist philosophy after the design of the well-known book called the Abhidhamma Sangaha, the compendium of Buddhist philosophy written by U Shui Zhang-ong and published by the London Pali Text Society in 1910. Dr. Tinmon perfected and augmented it still further by the extraordinary quality of his intellect and all the superb patrimony of wisdom which he inherited from his predecessors. As a matter of fact, I have studied the subject in conjunction with the Ultimate Science at the Department of History and Philosophy in Harvard University from the theological point of view. But I am more thoroughly convinced and lucidly enlightened in the conception and meaningfulness of the subject only now, after I have read this new book presented by Dr. Tinmon. It is really a very hard task to write than to read such a profound work like this. May all scholars, therefore, unanimously and sincerely welcome this superb work on Abhidhamma, and may Abhidhamma enlighten the whole world. December 24th, 1994. Buddha's teachings. The teachings of Lord Buddha in the course of 45 years of his Buddhahood have been divided into 3 collections called Tipitaka in Pali, meaning 3 baskets literally. The first collection is known as Sutta Pitaka. It is the conventional teaching, Mohara Desena, in which Buddha used common vocabulary to explain his teachings. Practical aspects of tranquility meditation and insight meditation are included in this collection. The second collection is called Vinaya Pitaka. It is the authoritative teaching, Ana Desana, in which Buddha used his authority over the monks to lay down rules and disciplines for them to follow. These disciplines embody the highest code of ethics and can surely purify one's action, speech, and thought, thus making one noble and respectful. The third collection is Abhidhamma Pitaka. It is the higher teaching of the Buddha. Here, Buddha employed abstract terms to describe the ultimate realities, paramatthas, in the universe and Nibbana, which is the summum bonum and the highest goal of Buddhism. So, Abhidhamma can be regarded as the ultimate teaching, Paramattha Desana, of Lord Buddha. The principles and the causal relations which Buddha expounded in Abhidhamma are so natural, so logical, and so beautiful that they can pinpoint the root cause of miseries in the world and the ways to eradicate these miseries. The most wonderful thing about Buddha's teachings is that the teaching contain both theory and practice, and they clearly and exactly define the human values, the best moral code, the eternal peace, and the noble eightfold path leading to that peace. All these valuable teachings have been verified time and again by millions of Aryas, noble persons, who had trodden on the path and can still be verified at any time. Any unable person who will earnestly and steadfastly follow the path. The significance of Abhidhamma. Sutta Pitaka and Abhidhamma Pitaka are collectively known as Dhamma, a Pali word meaning the doctrine or the teaching of the Buddha. Dhamma is a doctrine that can salvage persons who abide by Dhamma from falling into the four lower abodes, appayas, and that can purify the mind from defilements so as to achieve lasting peace and happiness. The prefix afi is used in the sense of preponderant, great, excellent, sublime, distinct, marvelous, etc. Abhidhamma Pitaka is more preponderant, more sublime, and more marvelous than Sutta Pitaka in the sense that, number one, Abhidhamma Pitaka contains more Dhamma groups, Dhamma kantas, than Sutta Pitaka and Vinaya Pitaka. Abhidhamma consists of 42,000 Dhamma kantas, whereas Sutta Pitaka and Vinaya Pitaka contain 21,000 Dhamma kantas each. Number 2. Buddha used more numerous methods in expounding Abhidhamma than when he taught Sutta Dhamma. And number 3. The Abhidhamma Buddha analyzed mind and matter in minute detail in terms of the ultimate realities known as paramattas. These paramattas will be explained in the introduction chapter. What is the mind? Philosophers used to refer to mind and matter as the two basic principles of the world, but they failed to come to a unanimous conclusion as to what the mind is. Psychologists began their task by probing the nature of the mind, but when they cannot specify and characterize the mind, they turn to the behavior of animals and men. Thus, psychology becomes the study of behaviorism rather than the science of the mind. Today, science possesses no instruments to detect the mind, so scientists tend to deny the existence of the mind and fondle the theory that the brain functions as the mind. This theory cannot explain the strange phenomena of telepathy, clairvoyance, extrasensory perception, psychokinesis, out-of-the-body experiments, life after death, etc., which cannot be denied by science today. Besides, brain research has revealed that although the brain functions as a supercomputer, It requires an external agent to run it, just as ordinary computers need to be programmed by men. Isn't that external agent the mind? Abhidhamma describes the mind as a combination of jeta, consciousness, and jetasikas, mental factors or concomitants of the mind. There are 52 jetasikas or mental factors. Some can defile the mind, some can purify the mind, and some are neutral. The total number of possible combinations between jeta and jetasikas is 121. These combinations account for the various states of the mind. They explain fully why the mind is sometimes bad and sometimes good, sometimes sad and sometimes happy, sometimes wicked and sometimes noble, etc. In the practical aspects of his teaching, Lord Buddha describes several ways for developing samadhi, concentration. When the unwholesome mental factors such as lopha, greed, dosa, anger, or uddhacca, restlessness, kukucca, remorse, vichikicha, doubt, tina mitta, sloth and torpor, can be calmed down not to arise in the mind. Then the mind is in unperturbed, peaceful and lucid state. This is the state of upachara samadhi, neighborhood concentration or access concentration, meaning it is close to jhana absorption. At the state of upachara samadhi, since the defilements are absent from the mind, one enjoys tranquility and peace unmatched by sensual pleasure. A higher bliss is enjoyed when one can raise the degree of concentration a little higher to jhana samadhi. After developing 4 rupa jhanas, meditative absorption of fine material sphere, and 4 arupa jhanas, absorption of immaterial sphere, one can go to a step further to develop avijñā, supernormal knowledge. There are 5 mundane, lokiya, supernormal powers. 1. Divine powers, iti-vitta. 2. Divine ear, dipasota. 3. Divine eye, dipacakku. 4. Penetration of the minds of others, cetopariya jnana. And 5. Remembrance of former existences, pupe niwasa nussati. These supernormal powers far surpass the powers of telepathy, clairvoyance, psychokinesis, etc. With iti-vitta avijñā, one can pass through walls and mountains without being obstructed, dive into the earth, walk over water, fly in the sky. With dipacakku avijñā, one can see the apaya, lower abodes, as well as the worlds of devas and brahmas, and the beings being reborn in the 31 planes of existence, according to their karma or action. With cetopariya jnana, one can see the minds of others and know their intentions. The attainment of these supernormal powers is not, however, the goal of Buddhism. the penetrating power of the mind accompanied by upachara samadhi or jhana samadhi is utilized to observe the arising and the vanishing of nama, mind and its concomitant, and rupa, ultimate matter in the body. These nama and rupa are invisible even under electronic microscopes, but they can be seen by the samadhi mind. By meditating on the three common characteristics of nama and rupa, namely impermanence, anicca, suffering, dukkha, and not self, anatta, and also the causal relations between nama and rupa, one is treading along the Noble Eightfold Path and will sooner or later attain the first Magga path and Phala fruition. Then one becomes a stream winner, noble person, and is fully guaranteed never to be reborn in the lower abodes again. The stream winner Sotapanna Arya can enjoy the transcendental peace of Nibbana whenever he chooses. If he continues with his vipassana insight meditation, he will realize the three higher maggas and phalas, paths and fruitions, in due course and become an arahat, perfect one in this very life. Even if he does not continue with his vipassana meditation, the Sotapanna will automatically become an arahat in no more than 7 lives. In the arahat, all the defilements are completely uprooted and destroyed. Since these defilements are the real causes of all miseries, their total destruction means complete happiness and eternal peace for the arahat. Thus, by purifying the mind from all defilements which cause miseries and debase a person, one can become an arahat who is among the noblest persons in the worlds of men and devas, and who can enjoy the highest and lasting peace of Nibbana forever. So, to become an arahat is the correct goal for men and devas, and this highest goal in life is attainable only through the correct analysis and understanding of mind and matter as taught by the Lord Buddha. It should be emphasized here that whatever Buddha had taught us out of his omniscience and own experience can be tested and verified by anyone with his own experience. An intellectual treat, Abhidhamma deals with the realities that really exist in nature. It correctly and microscopically analyzes both mind and matter, which constitute this complex machinery of man. It describes the 6 sense doors in men, the 6 senses coming from outside, and the arising of those processes when the senses come into contact with the sense doors. Various mental states together with the causes of these mental states are vividly enumerated. Wholesome and unwholesome thoughts, and their consequences are elaborated. Also, the process of life and death and that of rebirth in various planes under the karmic force are clearly explained. Rupa, which comprises matter and energy, is subdivided and characterized to the ultimate states. Both nama, mind and its concomitants, and rupa, matter and energy, are very short-lived. They arise and dissolve in the order of 1,000,000,000,000, 10 to the 12th times per second. So, the view that consciousness flows like a stream, as propounded by some modern psychologists like William James, becomes extremely clear to one who understands Abhidhamma. The law of dependent origination and the law of causal relations are treated symmetrically and thoroughly in Abhidhamma. These laws find no parallel in any other philosophy. Finally, the four great noble truths. The noble truth of suffering, the noble truth of the cause of suffering, the noble truth of the cessation of suffering, and the noble truth of the path leading to the cessation of suffering clearly come to light as one goes through Abhidhamma. These four noble truths are the ultimate truths that encompass all the causal relations in mundane as well as supramundane levels. Those who can vividly see these noble truths with their samadhi mind or wisdom eye will become enlightened as noble persons. The essence of Buddha Abhidhamma. Just as the natural sciences investigate the natural laws that control natural processes, so also Abhidhamma illustrates the natural truths that govern natural processes. But the levels of treatment are different. All natural sciences, such as physics, chemistry, biology, geology, geography, engineering, electronics, and medical sciences, deal with the matter and energy, the physical aspects of nature. Even psychology, which goes after behaviorism, cannot pinpoint the mind and analyze it. But it is the mind which leads the world and the life of everybody. All sciences and philosophies are produced by the mind, governed by the mind, and the children of the mind. So, the mind is undoubtedly the most powerful agent in the world. Abhidhamma pinpoints the mind, analyzes and characterizes the mind, describes the functions of the mind, and puts the mind in its proper place. The true ability of every person lies in his mind. So, nobody need to look up to the sky and ask for help from some supernatural forces, for the most powerful force lies within himself. Abhidhamma also tells about matter in relation to the mind. It also describes Nibbana, which is free from mind and matter. Natural sciences cannot turn a scoundrel to a nobleman, whereas Abhidhamma can. Scientists and philosophers cannot show the way to the cessation of suffering and to eternal peace, whereas Abhidhamma can. Scientists, philosophers, psychologists, and every lover of truth will find Abhidhamma to be a special intellectual treat. What knowledge is there in life which is more valuable than Abhidhamma, which is the ultimate teaching of the fully enlightened one. Sadhu, sadhu.